We're broadcasting live from the 20th floor of the Pacific Center. As we start this half hour, we have a live audience in the studio, and we are talking about a program that CKNW is launching, a 4-week multimedia series dedicated to the number one issue facing BC. That's jobs and employment. We'll cover everything from the current job market to future opportunities, skills training, education, innovation, and even opportunities abroad. Our brand director, Ian Koningsfest, just announced to the people here that the Bill Good program is going to be broadcasting from Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong in April as part of this series, as a conclusion to this series, because part of what we're looking at is the opportunity for people to be doing business around the world, the global picture. So as Greg Davignon joins me this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about the series and what's ahead. Greg Davignon is President and Chief Executive Officer with the Business Council of British Columbia. Mr. Davignon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
It's an exciting day.
It is an exciting day, and it's the start of a decade of opportunity, I think, for British Columbia. But there's, as your title says, putting BC to work, there's a lot of work involved in this as well. British Columbia is an open trading economy, and we're going to have a demand for skilled trades and educated people that come from universities to meet that challenge going forward, both in terms of the economic growth that's going to happen in BC, but we also have an aging demographic. And in fact, 2/3 of all the job openings are going to come from retirements in the next 10 years. And that's a daunting challenge because that's happening around Western economies, and particularly in Canada. So people are going to be looking for talent, and we're going to be competing not just on a local level, but a global level to make sure we can have those people here to move the projects forward, to operate the economy that we have, and to really look at our potential and create prosperity for British Columbians.
And I mentioned the fact that we're going to be broadcasting from China. How important is China to British Columbia in the next 10 years?
Well, it's vital, and not just China, but Asia generally. What we're seeing is a 400-year shift, Bill, in the economy of the world. For the last 400 years, Western economies have dominated growth, Europe and certainly North America more recently. But what's happening now is that we're going to see an emergence, and are seeing an emergence, of a middle class that will amount to 3 billion people in Asia, South Asia, and China is the biggest part of that. But not only will there be 3 billion people, they have a huge disposable income that's growing, and in fact the 10 fastest growing disposable incomes of the middle class will come out of Asia, South Asia in the future, and they're going to want the kind of lifestyle we have, and they want the kinds of things that we have. And the great thing about British Columbia is that we produce a lot of the materials, goods, and services to provide those needs.
How do we strike a balance between prospering from that growth and from that demand and being swallowed up by it?
Well, that's always a challenge. I mean, we've had over the last number of years national challenges around foreign direct investment with BHP and CNOC, and I think we're still finding our way through that process. But the reality is that Canada's always been a place where foreign capital comes to create wealth and opportunity, and BC is no different. We forget that we've got a legacy of immigration that comes to this province, has really unlocked it, whether you're in Kitimat with a Portuguese community that started Alcan, or in Williams Lake with an Indo-Canadian community that started some of the forest sector. We're a country of immigrants, and we actually do it better than almost anywhere else in the world. The Lower Mainland is the best poster child. I think Hillary Clinton last week mentioned this, where 40% of the population in Lower Mainland is made up of Asian, South Asian immigrants, and the consequence of that is that we have the most Asian population anywhere in North America except downtown Honolulu. So that's a huge advantage, not just from a quality of society, but also from an economic perspective.
And I think Canadians have always welcomed immigrants, but what they're nervous about are people coming here as temporary foreign workers. It's an issue that comes up almost daily on this program.
I understand that, and I think in some respects it's a bit misunderstood. The reality is that when you look at a variety of different studies that have been done, we're going to have about 1.1 million job openings in British Columbia in the next decade. And as I said, about 2/3 of those are going to come from retirement, 450,000 from new jobs. And if we trained every British Columbian to make sure that they have the skills necessary to get a job and to create opportunity for themselves and their family, we're still going to have a gap, Bill. We're still going to have a gap, particularly on those projects that only only last for 2 or 3 years that are a bit of a spike. And when you get multiple projects, in BC we've got $200 billion worth of potential projects on the books. Those gaps require some skilled trades that are going to have to come in and fill the gap. And that's a conversation, frankly, we need to have.
But are we doing a good enough job right now of training young people, whether it be to do welding and pipe fitting, to create an LNG plant in the north, or to work on a new ship that's being built in North Vancouver? Are we doing enough now to train for those jobs that may not come on stream for 2 or 3 years, but we know they're going to be there?
No, we're not. And I think that's why you see so much focus from the provincial government and from the federal government with the Canada Jobs Grant recently. The Prime Minister was in town just this week and talked to us about the fact that we need to put more energy and effort on not just planning but executing to make sure that people have the skills that line up with the labor market demand. And so your series is vitally important because it starts to cast a light on the opportunities that are available, how you can get those skills, and the kinds of companies that are members of the Business Council. Our members employ hundreds of thousands of British Columbians. What are we going to be looking for? There's right now skills shortages and labor demand scarcity in pockets of British Columbia that we're clamoring for right now, whether that's up in the northeast or the northwest in energy, forestry and mining, in the interior around forestry, and to a certain extent down the lower mainland with technology jobs and public service jobs. So that scarcity is in pockets today, and it's only going to amplify, and we need to get at it and start to make sure people have the skills to compete in the market.